Okay, this is part 2, so I thought I would be able to switch back and forth with my camera, but I wasn't able to. So now I have my camera looking at my whiteboard. So I'm going to show you we're going to do some examples. So multiplication looks like this. And remember, we're reading that as 2 groups of 7. So 2 groups of 7 equals 14. And when you were first learning how to multiply, you might have drawn arrays or other pictures to help you with that. And if you're still needing to use some pictures to get to your answer, that is okay. So another way we can look at it is repeated addition. So 2 groups of 7, or 7 plus 7, equals 14. Okay? You might also see multiplication written this way. And that's okay too. So you'll see it written horizontally across your page, but then you'll also at times see it written vertically, which is up and down. So 7 times 3 equals 21. So we can read that as 7 groups of 3, or we can read it as 3 groups of 7, because remember this is communicative, so we can change the order of our factors and it doesn't change our answer. So I can say 7 times 3 equals 21, or I can say 3 times 7 equals 21, and I'm using the same numbers. And remember, this is 7 groups of 3 or 3 groups of 7. So if I'm using repeated addition, I'm adding 7 plus 7 plus 7 equals 21. Okay? So that's just a quick review of what multiplication looks like. And then today's assignment that you're going to be doing is in your student book. So your student book looks like that. It says student book grade 4, Bridges. And you're going to open up to page 1. Okay? And the first problem says, well, actually, let me read at the top of the page for you first. So the title of this assignment is called More School Supplies. Help Mrs. Carter's students figure out how many of each supply they have. For each problem, show your thinking with numbers, sketches, or words. Then write an equation that represents your work. So this is the part where you're going to need some scratch paper. So if you didn't come prepared to math with scratch paper, you can pause my video and go and grab some scratch paper. I should have said this at the beginning. You will always need, for math, your student book, which is this, your math notebook, which could be a spiral notebook or a composition, whatever you have available, and then scratch paper and a pencil. So those are the things you will need for your math class. So please come prepared with those at 11:45. In the future, we'll be using your Number Corner math workbook, and then you should also have a copy of the Home Connection workbook that we'll talk about later. Okay? So you should be back with your scratch paper, and here we go. The 4 students at table G each brought in 6 pencils. How many pencils are at table G? So I have 4 students, and I'm on my scratch paper. I have 4 students, and each student brought in 6 pencils. So I have 4 groups of 6. Well, I know that 2 groups of 6 is 12, so 4 groups of 6 is 24. And you might have learned that last year, how to group and break apart multiplication, and we'll learn more about that later as we go, especially when our numbers get more complicated. So in your student book, you are going to write, and you have to forgive me because I have a pen, not a pencil, but I would like you to come prepared with a pencil. I am not prepared, which is kind of the story of my life, but you'll get to know that. Okay, so equation, 4 students times 6 pencils, because they each have 6, equals 24. So that is my equation. 4 times 6 equals 24. And then over to the right, it says to write my answer labeled with the correct units. So the units are what we're talking about. It's kind of like a label. You might have heard it referred to as a label before. So 24 pencils is my answer. Okay? You're going to finish this page, and I will tell you that number 4 says challenge. One thing that a teacher taught me a few years ago was to mark out the word challenge and write the word grit. Because we can do hard things. And just because something says challenge doesn't mean it's impossible. So it just means we're going to have to work a little bit harder. Okay? And we might even need to ask for help on that one. And that's okay. But don't avoid it because it says challenge. Cross out that challenge and write in grit. And show me what you got. Okay? You're going to finish page 1. And then you're going to move over to page 2, which is very similar to page 1. It is a little different at the very bottom, but I know you can get it. And then you will either share your work later today, or you will share it with me tomorrow, and we'll talk more about that. Okay? Good luck. See you soon.